It's now time for Compas on the LA beat. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun. Gilbert, you've covered
Copyright.
them. You know, I did it with the sounds of my own voice, so it was an acapella thing.
There you go.
Shout out Andy Bernard. Did you what? So you watched the game. What were your thoughts on the Chargers Seahawks game?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the first part here of the title on the screen here. Same old Chargers, and I feel pretty bad for Chargers fans because I think a lot of people felt like this is finally the year. Like, what else can you really do, Fernando? You got the quarterback, you got the two pass rushers, the two biggest positions on an NFL roster. Or I feel like, or maybe Dan they will correct me here, but edge rusher and quarterback, you have that. Offensive lineman, they have that too. That's also up there. You got the left tackle, you got the center, and it's a good line. Good line. You got the wide receivers, good. I can keep going on and on. And they just can't win the games. They get injured. And I know, yeah, the Seahawks are better, but when you're at home, you should not lose that badly to the Seahawks and the Jaguars with two really poor games. And I get that they won three games in a row before that, Fernando, but I couldn't figure out the Chargers. Like they were in close games, they fell behind, and it feels like same old Chargers, right? Like keep it close. They win some close games here and there, and they were finally turning a corner here with winning one score games, and it just fell apart. And then the second part of this here, I don't know about Brandon Staley being on the hot seat just yet. What's been 1 year and 7 games? That feels way too soon for me. But it is fair to criticize the coaching because when it's been a year and a half almost, and you were brought in to change the defense, and I don't care who's healthy and who's not. You've got a bunch of star players, you got a bunch of depth now. I felt like, and you're still that bad when it comes to stopping the run. Like that is like the biggest thing I feel like it bothers most NFL fans when you get crushed, carved up every single week on the ground. You got to start questioning the coaching. Why is this defense not getting it? When you bring in a guy like Sebastian Joseph Day, who won the Super Bowl last year, and he's not
Right.
helping you out. Austin Johnson, he's not helping you out. Your linebacker, who's a first round pick, who got an interception, Kenneth Murray, can't figure it out. You get in Kyle Van Noy. You got all these guys. Khalil Mack's supposed to be great at stopping the run, and you're still that bad. I don't understand it, Fernando. So I think you got to look at coaching, and obviously the biggest part. What the heck is going on with the offense? You have Justin Herbert, the Stallion back there. Anthony Lynn called him on the show, the Stallion, and he's not producing that way. Is it the coaching? Is it Joe Lombardi? Just something needs to happen. I feel like you need like a little shakeup, but it's too soon to call Brandon Staley on the hot seat. But it does feel like same old Chargers, and that is the end of my rant.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from, and that's the thing is that now everybody's looking at Brandon. They're like, well, maybe he isn't this young defensive genius, minded defensive coach that everybody thought, and it's kind of like, well, that's not fair. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, it is kind of your defense. You went out, you spent all this money, you got these players, but then there's also a lot of carryover. Like Nasir Adderley, to me, Jerry Tillery is still playing football, and I think his stats I saw today: 5 total tackles, 4 missed tackles, 2 penalties, and I think like a sack and a half. Like, dude, my bad. Let me dog.
Does
What?
he even have 10 career sacks in the last 4 years?
No, I think he might have 10 career sacks. Remember that there was a year where he had 5.5.
Hmm.
It was that year that Joey was wrecking everything, and he kept on like falling on these sacks. But man, I don't know. And that's the thing is that they're going into the bye week, and it's like, okay, you need 3 positions. You need corner, you need receiver, and you need pass rusher. Are you gonna go? Because now it's like Joey's done. Okay, well, Chris Rumph is gonna start emerging. Well, now Chris Rumph is gone for weeks, is what Staley told us. Now what are you gonna do? So moving on. I think the Rams sort of won, even though it kind of looks like they lost the trade. Man, the 49ers gave up a lot for Christian McCaffrey. I thought they gave up a lot. And if you're the Rams, your offensive line already sucks. Why would you put Christian McCaffrey behind that offensive line? What's he realistically going to be able to do running the football? Catching the football, yeah. But running the football, I just don't see what he could do behind that offensive line. I think they need something else. Gilbert, you were the one that tweeted out today or on Monday, Cam Akers, they're listening for offers, right?
Yeah, they're trying to trade Cam Akers, and we'll get into it later. But I don't think anybody's really calling or saying, "Hey, here's a fifth round pick or sixth round pick." I don't think
Are
they're
you
getting
trying
an
to say that
offer right now.
McVay's phone is dry right now?
Yeah, less need. I think they're having a hard time, but they were on the race here for Christian McCaffrey, and Fernando's actually the first time I really hear your thoughts about this. So I was when you
Yeah.
said the Niners gave up a lot, and I totally agree with that.
So Christian McCaffrey in the last 3 years, and I've heard it from fantasy owners, they've been pissed. He gets hurt. Last two, I'll give him two. The last 2 years, he's gotten hurt. He's had moments where he goes down. Well, right now the Rams are getting hit with the injury bug left and right. Do you really want to spend all that draft capital on this guy? This guy come in and then he gets hurt. That's not what you want. And I think, it's. I was talking to our good compa Dylan Hernandez on Sunday. Shout out Dylan. We love Dylan. Dylan was telling me that he thinks that this year could be a Dodgers rebuild, kind of, where they kind of regroup, get back together, try and maybe bring in some guys, but that it could be a rebuild for them. Maybe this is what it is for the Rams. The Rams just need a year where they kind of cool off, they regroup, and then they kind of think about what they're going to do. Even though I saw a report today that the Dodgers are supposedly all in on Aaron Judge, I'm like, Jesus, can you imagine that? But I mean, it could be like a thing where you kind of regroup and try and retool and try and get better for next season. But the Rams will probably still make the playoffs and everything. But I didn't see what the need was to make that trade. Maybe you can make a better trade, go get an offensive lineman, whether it's now, whether it's in the offseason. But I really do think that the Rams kind of won this trade, even though the big flashy name goes to the 49ers. But I still think the Rams didn't need to give up all that draft capital for this guy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I'll say this because I'm gonna save the rest for House of Horns.
People
Subscribe.
were gonna
The
people were gonna
Ram
think that I was gonna shit on the Rams, but look at that.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I was very surprised. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised I hear your thoughts. That's why we do this show here because this segment here because I get to hear your thoughts on the Rams, you hear my thoughts on the Chargers. But you do fantastic work on What's Up Bolts along with Dan and Daigle. He's also pretty good at what he does, for the show. I'll give him a shout out here. Subscribe
He's
to What's Up
surprising though,
Bolts.
right? It's surprising.
No, he knows his stuff, man. And I won't say too many kind things, but check out What's Up Bolts. You guys are killing
Rookie
it
of the
there.
year.
Yeah. How about podcast of the year? You guys are doing great.
No, rookie.
Uh,
I'll give him rookie of the year.
Rookie of the Year host on the podcasting platform. He's not just a promo reader. And here, also for me, I'm gonna give myself a shout out, and along with Victor, the producer, House of Horns. Check that out if you're a Rams fan or just want to hear me talk and rant. Last thing I'll say on this because we got to move on. I feel like I can see both sides. The 49ers wanted to win now. They went all in. If they're healthy, it looks like a nice roster. Jimmy G is always an issue. But when you got Christian McCaffrey and you got Nick Bosa on the other side, that's enough, I think, to at least win the NFC West. We'll see how it does because the NFC is kind of down overall as a conference. But in that future, you better pay for your sins because it's going to hurt you. Going all in for a running back like that, the Rams already committed enough sins. They couldn't afford it. Go
And
ahead.
you already went all in for Trey Lance, remember?
They pretty much
you went in for a running back and you went in for a quarterback. So remember, you've gone 2 straight years all in.
Maybe not the right quarterback, which is the biggest problem.
And it's funny. And we talk about Jimmy G. He played like crap over the weekend, but watch him come in against the Rams, throw 3 tutties, look like a damn all-star Pro Bowl quarterback. It's just that's how he is. That's how Jimmy G is. That's what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Something must have happened. Something happened. Whether if it's in a previous life or in this life, something happens where Kyle Shanahan wants to prove to McVay. Maybe it's because McVay's all like buff and all good looking, and Kyle Shanahan's like, you know what? I may be ugly, but I got brains. I'm gonna knock you out right here. And he plays him hard. I don't know what it is, but
we got to move on, Fernando. But I think you're onto something. No. Maybe Sean McVay said in the interview with Mike Shanahan, he said, "Hey, I will hire you, but in the future, when you play my son every single time, you got to lose. Besides in the playoffs, that's what happens."
Oh, there you go. I mean, that's an interesting take too.